Not the start that bNE would have been looking for, but one that is certainly recoverable as they enter Vertigo. The map pick of SAW. They will start CT side and an opportunity to make up for lost time here. Looking to press the issue almost immediately into mid, but they're met by a wall of bodies. CSGO doing what he can on the fadeaway. He's got 2 already. Make it 3 as MUTiRiS falls victim to the USP once again. Rigon cleaning up the bits. And this is much more like the bNE we know, Dean.
Yeah, much better. I think they were slightly angered by that first map. Everything had gone against them, starting with not having their full 5 on the server, and they just want a bit of a mental reset now, I'd imagine, coming in towards Vertigo, and that is exactly what they needed. No success at all for SAW, so very likely just a full eco coming in. There's a couple pistols being bought up, just some P250s, but even then that's only on towards 2 players, so yeah, it should be a relatively easy enough round here for Bad News Eagles, I'd imagine. Put together some economy, try and get things stabilized here in the early stages. That's what they need if they want to try and steal this one away from SAW, who, as we said, have been flawless nearly on this map. Good kill by GXX. He just wants to hunt down as much money as he can, expecting that this is the full eco, and he's made the correct call. The M4 in close by for assistance if needed. There's actually 2 of them, and it's Rigon who mows down 3, falls back off. CSNOPSYy was there as well, ready for if anyone else needed to, if anyone else tried to chase, rather. Although MUTiRiS will get 1 kill in the meantime. Adding a second onto the board overall, I don't expect too much more to be given his way, especially now that they know he has that MP9. You don't want to feed him any money.
Looking to see if maybe there's an exit to be had somewhere. There's a low HP bar on Rigon, but MUTiRiS is positioned down known. They should keep that M4 well away from the fight. MUTiRiS trying to make these angles as ugly as he can, trying to make it as complicated as possible, but CSNOPSYy finds his mark. bNE find a second with 3 rifles up. And this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, Dean. The rifles will come out for SAW for the first time. AK's being bought up across the board. As SAW look to mount an initial resistance over on that T side. Good utility and firepower available for bNE, however. It's not going to be a simple task for the T side.
So with the early approaches, a few players moving over towards the A stairs. Looking to definitely put some heavy presence on this side of the map in the early stages. Oh, keeping, I was going to say, players all over. Really had Roman trying to pressure on towards ramp on his own, and that does not work out. He was looking very crisp on that previous map, but it seemed a little bit crazy, just taking the fight up ramp on his own. bNE are happy to just give up that control now that they've already got a bit of an advantage going. Took a player in a sandbags instead.
Nice setup, this. His utility to clear it out. U-jerks with a Molotov. Story the same. So Rigon is going to be put under pressure here. Smoke available. Buys himself a little bit of space, a little bit of room, but it's only a dink, and his teammate lost in the crossfire. Suddenly opens up an opportunity for SAW. Bomb going down. 3v4 conversion. The HE finding its mark, but not quite the man they would have hoped for. At this point, imagine if bNE don't get a very early pick here. They start to consign themselves to the save. MUTiRiS brawling inside center site, just there to back his man up, and sort of starting to show us a little bit of that magic that got them over the line on map 1. Swinging well, playing together as a unit, and Scenario at this point just looking for exits.
Yeah, none given to him though, so they're just going to back off and save the rifle. Not going to fund a full buy by any means though, and you even have GXX looking at a double eco. Rigon pretty much in the same territory, so they're likely going to just force this up. CSNOPSYy can just about scrape together an M4 and some Kevlar, so we'll see if he goes for that. Give them a bit of extra firepower alongside Scenario's M4. SAW though, the first gun round, managing to take it cleanly, keeping 4 standing and giving themselves a good opportunity here to get going early on this T side. Those initial 2 rounds, it looked incredibly promising for Bad News Eagles as well. Very heavy on the A presence here on the CT side right now. Wanting the aggression down ramp again, apparently. They had gone for the 2 M4s. Unfortunately, Scenario gets spammed through the smoke. I don't think there was any indication he was there. They just decided to spam it a bit.
Yeah, they've seen these kind of halfway rounds played very proactively from bNE. I think expecting much of the same again. MUTiRiS able to grab a second kill before he goes down, and very efficiently traded across the board now. Story will get his head cleaved by GXX, so that bomb now down out in no man's land. Potentially some timing, some angles to be taken. GXX tries to push the issue, and UJerk's brought down low, but not quite low enough as one Flatro looks to pull off the miracle. One already to his name. Roman, the first victim, has got to consider other possibilities, though, and that will open up opportunities for this T-side bomb to go down, surely. After plant scenario, you can't imagine will be too favorable to one Flatro without that defuse kit available. Here the plant, no utility, no firepower available on the pickup either. The rifle's lost on entry rather than on over aggression, where potentially you could have seen him pick up an AK-47. Only thing one Flatro has going for himself right now is that smoke in his back pocket. He can maybe isolate these opening moments. UJerk's is a single bullet from death, and we know that one Flatro's deagle can be lethal when required. Smoke goes down. He's trying to bait them into the open, but that bomb's already too far gone. He'll satisfy himself with an AK-47 saved, and SAW will have a second. The Force Spy not quite able to find the purchase it wanted, although I'll give it the damage it found. Some nice shots mixed in there from the bNE boys, and if they can find that consistently, they could still cause this T-side a lot of troubles.
Oh yeah, we've unfortunately had a dropout over on the side of Bad News Eagles. There's a fast one, though. I think he's already gone ahead and joined back up with his rig on, was it? So bad at knowing what name is missing, even though we've said his name so many times throughout this game already. But yeah, the second round on the board for SAW, not quite as clean as you were saying as they would have liked, but still, especially with another eco likely coming through for Bad News Eagles, only the one AK saved over, a few pistols as well. They should likely be taking the 3-2 lead.
In need of a little bit of magic here, certainly, if they are going to make this round competitive. One Flatro, the kind of player who can, on his heyday, provide it, however. AK-47 in hand, armor to back it up. 5-7 up close and personal for CSNOPSYy. He's going to open things up onto MUTiRiS, and that's exactly the kind of kill you want to be grabbing early on in these kind of rounds. Pressure almost immediately onto the T side, and just caught in a timing halfway out no man's land will be traded clean. Story looks to recover the situation, but already the CT side have made a rapid escape, and the man advantage maintained. Second AK recovered. Exactly the sort of seeds of chaos you need to be sowing in this round of your bNE.
It's going to be dangerous as well with GXX still pushed up close on the stairs. They do start moving in this direction. He is in a good spot to at least get one and slow them down enough for one Flatro to ensure he's in position with that AK. So this is going to be tough. GXX, will they read it? Will they check the stairs? They do, but he manages to. That is it. Story coming around the corner. Potentially the next victim. Hits a nasty flick to ensure he's not. But I don't think he has too much say in the outcome of the round anymore. This 3-on-1 should be damn near impossible for Bad News Eagles to be letting go. Story likely to even just try and save the op, but there's a ton of time still on the clock, so he's going to be waiting a while. Bad News Eagles, I mean, they could send Rig on out. He's only got a 5-7, could try and hunt it down. You want to ensure one Flatro and CSNOPSYy, of course, hang on to those AKs, but this is a great way for Bad News Eagles to come back to life.
Sowing those seeds of chaos, exactly what the doctor ordered, right? Initial pick in mid, then proactivity out towards B. All you've got to do is catch a timing. Exactly what bNE managed to find, and then they post GXX a little bit of magic on the deagle. Some days those bullets never hit, some days they seem magnetic, and bNE benefiting from a little bit of the latter there to grab the lead once again over on the CT side of things. But SAW in a precarious position as well. Those are the rounds that you should not be losing, and they're the ones that can do the most damage financially. The buy will be a little scatterbrained around the edges. Galil comes out for MUTiRiS. UJerk's on the high-flying players on map 1, forced to be relegated down to the Mac 10. And up against a very strong full buy from the CT side. What's the response from SAW? Almost instantaneous. Story fast-paced out towards B. Wanted to take the fight to bNE, and he's done exactly that. CSNOPSYy, though, quick trade. Admittedly, just the Mac 10 for now, but as they lose more bodies, it's getting awkward for SAW. Roman doing what he can, just there to trade him through the top of the smoke, and a shoulder visible. GXX punished. Small mistakes go a long way, and suddenly CSGO well and truly in trouble, well and truly pincered. Canary last up to try and recover the impossible. It's a dink and nothing more. SAW immediately find a sucker punch to swing on back, and look at the economy over on that CT side.
Yeah, it was after a solid start with CSGO opening things up as well. So fortunate, as you said, now leaving them in a very weak position. They have enough on a few players to just about get out the weapons, but not for everyone. And well, of course, they are going to just go for it at this point. Only 1900 loss bonus. If they had have taken an eco, they likely wouldn't have made too much of a difference. Sure, there would have been still 2 or 3 players on for masses even. So definitely worthwhile, but it's a big risk. SAW will have a chance potentially to get a solid lead going if they manage to take this round. Again, nothing too crazy in the early stages. A slow enough default just being played out by SAW. Especially since they know that there is going to be some weaknesses to the investment for Bad News Eagles. Don't want to give anything away.
Happy to have a prod and a poke and see what might come their way. We've seen bNE mix it up a little bit on the CT side. There's been some really proactive engagements, followed by some much slower approaches, and this one falling firmly into the second tick box. Just using that util to try and work their way up the early angles, not overexposed to a deagle. They've seen what GXX can do. Given that little bit of space, CSNOPSY hoping to play ahead of that Molotov as well. Maybe catch a man lurking, but Roman is wise to the threat, and that man advantage finally found for SAW. 55 seconds left. Still time to look to pivot into any kind of execute they please, as Juan Flatro just dodges the timing, but he's losing teammates. Roman with a second onto Rigon has really started to open things up now, and that A-bomb site, little do they know, is essentially free for the taking. GXX called into support on the mid play, and that will leave it wide open for SAW. At this point, I think bNE looking for the stack or the save, unless they can find something very swiftly on entry here. Bomb to go down. Juan Flatro's close at the very least, has GXX support. Flashbang to try and get himself out onto this site, but again, just not seeing anything, nothing given up by SAW. And at that point, you really don't have much of a choice. If you need a couple of opening picks to even convince yourselves to have a crack at that round and you see nothing, it's got to be the save. Simple as. SAW will have the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a similar enough round to this one in terms of the firepower they're going to have available. Unless Scenario can steal himself one of those weapons, maybe. That'd give them an extra rifle to work with. Have a 5.7 in Kevlar to lose, though, which would still be pretty nice to have. So sticking around, unfortunately, will cost him that. He'll be left on an eco alongside Rigon and CSNOPSY. In the end, SAW managed to just about keep 4 players standing. It was close for Just and Roman. Done 3 and 1 after that bomb explosion, but yeah, 5th round most likely to come off the back of it. They've still got to be a little bit careful, obviously, with an AWP and an M4 in play, but they are getting their opportunity here to really build up some economy as well over these past couple of rounds, and well, to at this point put themselves in the lead already. 4 and 3 up by a map as well, on a map that they're incredibly strong on, their own choice also.
Again, Story. This time they sent GXX to try and deal with him, sent the AWP into the AWP, and Story just more than ready for it.
A very tight angle he was holding initially. You need mad reactions if you're going to hit that.
There is some timings on the board here, but just as CSNOPSY looks to turn, Jerk's able to find the kill, and at this point Rigon presses on a recovered AWP, but without armor and without utility, far too isolated. Scenario and Juan Flatro left to try and pick up the pieces. Juan Flatro being as cheeky as he possibly can in and amongst the smokes, but I think at this point resigns himself to trying to save what he can. MUTiRiS will go down, so that M4A1 potentially grabs its teammate an AK-47 and a 2-rifle save, which is not a bad result. Would have been hoping for more, though, for bNE. They brought an AWP and an M4 into the round. They would have hoped they could get at least a killer piece out of those.
Yeah, sadly, not looking too likely. If they can take an AK out as well, though, that's a decent recovery. Still relatively early days, of course, but SAW establishing again a solid foundation here in the early stages with this 5-3 already. I think any sort of economy that bNE themselves can build is going to be pretty helpful. 4 players for the 2nd round in a row, I believe, left standing for SAW as well. So while there is constant reinvestment being put in, it's not a massive amount. bNE unfortunately weren't able to force that out of them, and well, now that they're coming onto the rifles, it's going to require at least a couple gun rounds in a row to really break SAW down, get any sort of momentum going for themselves. So it's not going to be easy. We'll see what they've got to say, though. We've only really seen the aggression around ramp so far. I don't think we're going to see too much of a change-up in that regard either. The nade didn't quite land before they made their way out mid, and I think OneFlatro just about hearing the steps falls back off, but he's forced to fully concede this mid control.
Not the place you want to be as a CT player, and again, Story able to get the better of his man on the opening. OneFlatro and GXX just about able to recover it by their team of 3-on-3, but these are the kind of trades that a T side will take, because you can see how much room it's opened up across the board now. Map control everywhere to be taken. Rigon able to grab the timing, though. And that man advantage could now be critical. Rigon, for now, solo inside of this A site. The bomb a long way away from support. Story will get one. But the fast rotation is available. It's going to be a brawl if they want to take this A site. And Scenario and GXX are not going to let it go quietly. Both playing ahead of the smokes initially. Going to dump what utility they have. Looking to buy a little bit of space. Unfortunately, without that bomb entering the site, they're forced to reconsider the possibility that this has, in fact, headed back over towards B. At least for a moment, as now they look to group, and this one turns into absolute carnage. There's no utility for this T side. They've got to just get that bomb down. And as soon as those footsteps are heard, we will see bNE looking to press this issue. Scenario goes down for free. It's into the 1v1. GXX has the health advantage and has the swing as well. bNE by the skin on their teeth. A clean headshot away from another round slipping by, but it's GXX able to get that extra 10% required to get it over the line. The AWP recovered. The defuse assured. Problem is, it's not going to get any easier, Dean. The buys are keep on coming from for sure.
Yeah, they're not going to be feeling the impact of losing that round too much quite yet in terms of the economy, but after this reinvestment, I wouldn't imagine there's going to be a ridiculous amount of money left over. Can't quite see it at the moment, with everything being mixed up due to a player unfortunately dropping out. Hopefully just a quick issue that can be resolved, especially for Bad News Eagles. They don't want to be sitting around after winning out one round and knowing that they need to keep that up as well if they really want to put a stop to the economy of SAW. And unfortunately, we're getting the news that it is going to be a little bit of a longer one. So with that, guys, we are going to have to send it over to a short break. So stick with us. When we come back, of course, we're going to get right back into the action.
Still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay.
No, not as long as we first thought, and we are back into the action. The narrowest of leads for SAW, and a back and forth affair so far on Vertigo. bNE, of course, with the full 5 once again after the initial tech issues meant Deadpool had to sub in. And OneFlatro this time, finally, for the first time in a long time, able to get the opening advantage for his team. So often we've seen Story with that initial pick. This time, OneFlatro charging down mid, taking command of the situation and buying Bad News Eagles a much needed bit of breathing room.
Rather than being forced to fight back into it with mad clutches from GXX, definitely should make things a little bit easier. SAW, though, will have some very capable players left standing who can definitely turn the tide of this round if a few mistakes are made on that CT side. So Let's have a look. Roman gonna boost just up into position. Scenario playing the back corner. Be eked out. I thought there might have been a shot at being exposed rather, but just instead actually goes fully up with that boost. The molly not forcing him out due to the smoke being in play, but it does leave him in a very awkward position. But Scenari somehow comes away with a kill. He grabs the headshot onto just before being traded out, and that is probably a best case scenario right there.
Yeah, couldn't have really asked any more of him. Keeps his man advantage for his team, and now with the footsteps being heard, they'll know what's up. Story, though, has managed to find the free pick again. Rigon looking to push out onto site is found. Bomb going down means isolated fights, and they're going to charge on him with it. But Story, after missing the first shot, finds his redemption arc. Roman there to find one more. And what was a 3-on-3 in an instant is a 3-on-1, and GXX just can't even conceive a way to get into it. Couple of opportunistic picks taken by SAW and just so swiftly demolished. bNE didn't even really have time to react. The sucker punch came in. The AWP hidden away in towards mid should be allowed to be saved here. But that's not really the concern for bNE right now. The inconsistency of their CT side is meaning that their economy is all over the shop, and right as they look like they could get back to breaking SAW's economy and start to really build themselves a half, SAW come right back swinging.
It is worth noting, though, that Bad News Eagles on this map are pretty much 50-50, or dead on 50-50, actually, between their T and CT round distribution. On the other hand, SAW are pretty heavily T-sided, so if Bad News Eagles can just keep up this scrappy fight, bring it towards 6 or 7, then I think they could still be in a pretty decent position. Just an op to work with for the moment, though. We've seen too many of these rounds where they just don't have the weaponry to put up a real fight. Just with the initial kill, around the edge of that smoke over on the stairs, and, well, GXX has got to try and press the issue around ramp at the moment, but there's a smoke down. There's no one really looking to peek for on the side of SAW either. Their focus more so shifted towards mid right now.
Yeah, this is the problem. Losing that early man as well means there's a little less room for GXX to try and roam that AWP about with. B-split starts to be called, and, well, they've got the backstab. Not that they really need it. UJUX gets the freebie. MUTiRiS comes in with the backstab. And Story continues to pick off one more as GXX once again is left with the unenviable task of trying to keep his hands on that AWP. Story and GXX exchanging missed shots, but surely there's only so much of that. Story, another one passes him by, but finally MUTiRiS puts GXX to the sword. The AWP taken away, and that's a tough reinvestment call to make as well. Sacrificing the head armor, admittedly against the AK is less of an issue, but the utility completely lacking. And that means it's going to be really troublesome for bNE to hold on. If this goes into a late round execute, which we've seen SAW pull many a time where they just disconnect all control. If they can bleed bNE's util dry in the opening moments, it's going to be very tough for these rifles to hold on.
Put down the standard smokes, at least in the initial few seconds, but it doesn't seem like bNE themselves want to get too aggressive. They'll sit back, they'll try and hold on to some of this utility, and will hopefully eventually snatch the opening kill in their own favor, because they can't really press the issue to look for it. They have to wait and see what the plan that SAW has in mind is. Decent nade, doesn't do as much damage as I thought it was going to, but it does seem to annoy UJUX, who quickly charged forward into his doom with that as well. Roman at least there for the trade, but CSNOPSYy now being spammed up heavily in a bit of a rough position. Molly slowing Roman from actually being able to fully punish him, though. Although he will stay in the open heavy on the angle, and then Roman burns himself alive. This is just crazy in general.
Absolute carnage. Long may it continue. GXX with an open sight line, able to deal with Just and find his team a much needed man advantage as MUTiRiS. Missed opportunity on that headshot angle, not quite able to find one. Flatro down to low HP now. Losing teammates left, right, and center. GXX picks off Story, and this will be a bNE round. Carnage pretty much across the board, as you said. Nothing really consistent to work with there, but a couple of opportune picks go their way. An opportunity now with this reinvestment, that economy will finally just about start to run low, and with a 1900 loss bonus, maybe only one more round away from getting that break that they've so desperately been fighting for on bNE.
Bit of a chat going on here. Both teams knowing that this could be a bit of a turning point in the game. Neither of them having very solid economies at all. I mean, SAW have enough to maybe scrape together a buy on a couple of their players, or a few of them rather, if they were to lose this round. But overall, they lose this, they're maybe even forced to consider the eco, and at that point, Bad News Eagles have a chance to start even tying things up at 7-7. And as I said, considering SAW tend to be pretty T-sided here on this map, I think 10 is probably what they're looking for right now. These final 3 rounds have got to be the goal.
Want to keep the pressure on as well. On Flatro though, consistently now able to win those brawls in mid to open things up. MUTiRiS once again goes down, but the response is instant too, in fact, as Just and then UJUX crack this B-bomb site wide open. Just continuing his charge, gets another for free. Roman's ready for the flank, and this one's written off. On Flatro's opening pick, the only thing bNE have to show for round 13, GXX's AWP. Consolation prize that Just wants to take away and will. SAW, they are not messing around at the minute. Cracking open that B-bomb site far too easily. Economy once again desperate for bNE. 2,400 loss bonus coming. Again, that lack of consistency on the CT side is just killing them.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a mad change up in pace there from SAW. They'd mostly been sitting back and slowly working their way forward, but they realized bNE, as you said, just have been kind of doing the same themselves on that CT side. And considering the economy wasn't all that great in the previous round, they decided to up the pace, try and exploit the weakness in utility and such, and it worked out perfectly. A very quick round played out in their favor. The ninth should also be easy to pick up. Spam up closer, does some damage, but the timing on the reload gets in time, but just can't land the shots, unfortunately. Instead, it's Scenary's Deagle that finds a little bit of success around middle, but that's all it is. Traded out instantly by Story, who is looking much crisper on the op this map.
He's looking very clean indeed. AK comes out to do some more damage. There is an isolated fight though. Juan Flatro snuck through the gaps and so nearly finds a timing. Out on that B site, he was hoping for the miracle. Last man in, checks his position, deals with the kill, 9 on the board. And I mean, he said 10, Dean. They're getting mighty close now on that T side, SAW.
Yeah, must win. I mean, 5 could maybe still be enough, but the pistol round would be detrimental if they were to let it drop, so I'd like to see a 6th preferably on the board here for bNE. Considering going a little bit more aggressive around ramp, as you were saying, maybe see some more initiative from them. Roman looks close in the smoke at the moment, catches GXX off guard. There is one in towards the scaffolding as well, but it's CSNOPSYy that they're worried about at the moment, and a quick headshot comes through to shut him down. Rigon left all alone on this bomb site, and although rotations are coming in, he's only able to get one, which does not delay the push enough. There's utility in play. SAW should be able to get on there and get that bomb planted pretty easily, and indeed MUTiRiS already putting it down. And with one watching for this flank, I don't think one Flatro is going to be too prepared for just tucked away in this corner.
He's played the other corner last time out as well, as MUTiRiS deals with his teammate. Juan Flatro's just been gamed there. 10-5 as we head to the half. SAW looking to get this one done quickly. 10-5 half is going to be tough to come back from for bNE. Been in a very similar position on map 1 and didn't manage to stick the landing there. This time needing a different response. Over on the T side of Vertigo, and they are going to come up against their worst nightmare once again. It's the SAW.JUST looking to get it all done. One Flatro dinked up instantly, and now the Julies will go to work too before the trade starts to come through. And with a dink on the third man, the reinforcements called in. It is an isolated fight for now, but bNE don't want to take it. They don't know the opportunity that they had maybe opened up for themselves. Instead, they slow it down and they're punished. MUTiRiS through the grate, able to find a quick headshot. And with one Flatro down on almost single digits in the health department, this one surely becomes impossible to get over the line. They're going to try and boost one Flatro up, hoping that maybe that off angle gives him a little something to work with, but the Julies betray him. Still loyal to SAW, they poke on through. MUTiRiS takes full advantage to finish the job. 11 on the board, and that is not the start Bad News Eagles needed.
No, worst case scenario, really getting absolutely shut down in that pistol round. No bomb plant either, so very likely going to be looking at the eco, although one Flatro has spent quite a bit, so I'm not too sure that's the case. GXX now fully investing as well, so they're going to go in for the force buy. If it works, awesome. It's going to give them a big lifeline to start building back into this game. If it doesn't, they've got to take an eco. It's 13-5 before they see the guns, and if that first gun round doesn't work out, then they're probably not going to have another great shot until they're already facing down overtime. So it's very quickly a situation that can spiral out of control. Good damage as well, I think, initially from the nades, and then one Flatro getting spammed up a bit by the M4. And Utility just keeping them at bay for the moment. An initial kill even being stolen away by Story on the MP9. And UJerk's adding as he sees the legs come around the corner.
Why does this feel like a Hail Mary that's already gone wrong for bNE? 2 kills found the wrong way, and the pressure keeps on coming, tapping away. Roman and UJerks are not going to let sleeping dogs lie. CSNOPSYY solo. A 1v5 to contend with, and a headshot that just won't quite connect. The force bite goes by with a whimper. Not a single kill found, nothing to pick away at SAW, nothing to make them rethink, to make them reinvest. In fact, Just and Story with a fantastic opportunity now to farm up plenty of cash. Glocks, P250s, a handful of HEs as they look for something a little cheeky on the bNE side of things. They are in need of a miracle to stop this one going 13-5.
Nades. Okay. Ramp, unfortunately not up high. Roman wasn't looking to actively peek it either, and it ends up being a nade kill from UJerks instead. You bought 4 nades, we throw one at you, and bam, we're the one that gets the nade kill. Story on the MP9 going to add to the bank as well with that flank down the ladder. Already escaping before Scenario can do anything about it. There was 1 kill at least from CSNOPSYY, but he's brought low in the process as well, and at this point a single casualty I don't think is going to be a massive worry for SAW. Okay, a few more might add some worry. Quick headshot. Again, though, trades are ready. That's one thing SAW are good at, playing off of each other. Scenario's having a very rough game. So with a Glock, I don't think he's going to be doubling his kills.
Not sure if he's been in and out of the server, so I won't go ragging on him just yet. There's definitely been a few, but yeah, Glock in hand, this one.
I don't think so.
Doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. Cleaned up relatively smoothly. Do lose 1 FAMAS and 1 MP9, but again, these are things that SAW are not really going to be concerning themselves with. When you've got an 8-round lead, you can afford to lose those odd bits and pieces. The buy will still be coming through. Story gets his big green in hand. UJerks takes the MP9, drops across to him. Everyone else has rifles in play, so a fairly even spread of the firepower as Bad News Eagles. This is their first shot with the rifles. It's their first opportunity to show us what they've got with the AKs in hand, and it really needs to work.
Last opportunity. The aggression down ramp, hoping that they're going to catch Bad News Eagles themselves, moving pretty quickly in this direction, but they're waiting it out for the moment. Showing the presence, sure, but they have 2 players ready up close. They're expecting, I think, this aggression with maybe some of the weaker weapons being retained, and that's exactly what UJerks is going to give them. The MP9 up close, blinded by the flash from Roman. Unfortunately, that does not work out. Story also going to be taken out by Rigon. He's gotten himself 2 entries now, and Roman's heavily committed in on sandbags with nowhere to fall back to. It's Rigon pretty much solo at the moment, getting the job done for somehow as he comes out of that fight on top. MUTiRiS caught him as he initially had a molly in hand, but he makes it work just as all alone. And at this point, you throw yourself off the building to avoid giving him the ace.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, Dean.
Get that save in. Everyone else has money. He is the only player that doesn't have the economy to buy, but he's being flanked. That's unfortunate. No save. Still have a decent enough investment. One player left on a weaker weapon. Story probably on a FAMAS as well. I mean, with this scoreline, you may just want to consider an eco even, right? Even though Just won't have enough to buy fully in the next round, he'd be on a FAMAS maybe, but he'd have good utility. Story would get his rifle with everything. Maybe it's a bit too safe, and definitely for SAW's liking.
Give it a crack. Knowing, of course, that bNE still sit on a knife's edge. They've got enough in the bank now for one round of a buy. But they are desperately close to going down 0-2 here. Just 3 rounds away from that fate. So SAW wanting to keep the pressure on. Understandable. This time the aggression a little more muted. But a heavy-handed stack over towards this A bomb site to start things off. It's going to be Story trusted solo with mid control. At least in these opening seconds, and he's got 2 players headed his way here. Surely should be a one and done. The boost being assembled to try and thread the needle. Story gets one, looks for the second, but it's an awkward old fight. He knows he's got a man isolated, and one Flatro looks to turn tail and run. Not a sentence you say every day. Story takes full advantage, 3 on 5. A little bit of magic from the AWP has decimated the offensive from bNE, and how do they even look to recover this? SAW aren't going to let them breathe.
Definitely not, although that could backfire considering the few weaker weapons still. Utility, but they want to continue with the aggression. GXX somehow comes out with a kill. Problem is, as you said, so many players just at the side of the rapid behind, and sure, he's traded, but again, the numbers just so heavily in favor of SAW that they just need to keep going back and forth with the trades themselves. It needs to work out perfectly fine. Ooh. Okay, that one doesn't work out perfectly fine for Story. Shut down over on this B bomb site, allowing for the bomb at least to be planted. And again, a chance at the 1v1 as multikill pushes straight through. That was dangerous. If he went down, suddenly then Roman is left alone, and there's a ton of time for the reposition even. Thankfully, though, he wins it out cleanly. SAW take a 14-6 lead. Bad news, Eagles, at least with a bomb plant. It gives them everything they could ask for now coming into this gun round, but it is their last opportunity to keep themselves in this game. And even then, they have a very difficult comeback if they want to get back into it.
It's a long old way, isn't it? They've not left themselves any breathing room at all with that first half. Pistol going against them. At the very least, if you are looking for silver linings in the clouds for bNE, they've built up enough bank that they will be buying this and the next near enough. GXX would be struggling, but with the loss bonus in hand, Rigon, one Flatro, CSGO, if this round goes south, could still buy. And they have still got SAW on a knife's edge in their own financial circumstances. They are also struggling to knit this one together and still end up with a full blanket, not one with holes in left, right, and center. So they're just about able to get it over the line. And if bNE can break this, then an opportunity to string a few together to build a little bit of confidence. But it does rely on them breaking this. Need to find some consistency once again. It's been sporadic, isolated rounds, very similar to their CT side. They need to find a way to consistently break SAW down. And well, sitting and chewing on HEs in the opening moments doesn't feel like it's going to be one of them. So much damage done in those opening seconds. 4 players within a one-shot headshot, and well, Story, he doesn't even need that damage. AWP to pick off one very early on.
Just working against Bad News Eagles and Molly, even though ensure Rigon doesn't have any help coming in and he can't back off for the moment. His position not really known, but gonna slow his plays. CSNOPSYy not quite catching the timing. Knows there's a player up close though because of the arc of that nade. And will catch the reposition. It's an awkward angle though, up against the head only rather. Doesn't want to commit to that any longer with only 6 HP available. Story in the meantime forced off of this B bomb site. Will just happily give it up though because they have the numbers, they have the damage in their favor as well. And, with the flashes now coming through, his teammates can move in a bit quicker with those rifles. multikill with 1. Story comes back through as well to reclaim his lost bomb site, and that leaves GXX and CSNOPSYy in a damn near impossible 2-on-4, especially since GXX is basically alone. CSNOPSYy 1 bullet from Doom.
Doing all they can here. GXX will take the headshot angle for the first. Up against a stacked bomb site though, and that's going to be a real issue. as you said, with CSGO so low on HP, the pressure really does lie on the shoulders of GXX, and with 20 seconds left, what can he even do? He's lost his teammate. It's all on him. They know exactly where to look for this roaming AWP. It's a nice shot for one, but they don't even need to give him the fight. 10 seconds, there's nothing more he can do. It's 15. Series point and 9 of them in the back pocket of SAW. Not able to break the bank either. That one big swing round that bNE could have maybe started to put together just slips on by, and at this point, yes, this buy is going to be a little dodgy for SAW, but they've got it done with worse, and they're going to have plenty more opportunities between now and overtime, even if this buy doesn't land it.
Exactly. I mean, I was expecting a close series, but it does make sense that if the first map went 16-9, that this one potentially could have been perhaps even a little bit more one-sided, and seems to be how it is playing out. Scenario completely blind, otherwise he might have had a shot on just to himself. I think got off by the flash, spammed up, but barely damaged. Not at all, actually. I don't know how the wallbang wasn't hitting him, but he makes it work, eats a nade in the process, but throws one back towards GXX and just escapes with that advantage. The problem is they're looking for a quick split in towards this B bomb site, but it seems just so disjointed. One flat throw was ready to go. No one else was, unfortunately.
Yeah, and even then, he didn't seem entirely aware of the possibility of a backstab. Still, bNE look to brawl their way through this. Rigon gets one, but again, the trade is instant just down the ramp. Keeps his team continually in the ascendancy. It's on to Rigon and CSGO to try and put this one together. They've got a relatively isolated Just. The first problem piece in towards this B-bomb site. Tucks himself behind the generator. Knows he's alone. Knows he's a little isolated. And now Story is here. The supporting piece, able to find his first shot. And CSGO, a 1v3 to keep the hopes of bNE alive. They start to swing. They won't give him anything. It's SAW clean as you like. 2-0. They take down the Bad News Eagles on Ancient and Vertigo. And that, I think it's safe to say, Dean, was a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, you can kind of scratch it off. First map, obviously stuck with Devil Walk for the first half. Then it's quite late already by the time they get Scenario, and they start off okay, but just an early stumble in that first gun round, and it was basically over already because they just didn't have the room to work with.